Hey, everybody, this is Kenny. Welcome back to the Leading from the Middle podcast. This is a podcast for middle managers who want to develop themselves, develop their teams, and improve their results. Prepare to be inspired. I have got sales expert, multi-location gym owner, and former pro wrestler Dustin Bogle join me today. And Dustin is just a bundle of energy. Wait till you hear the leadership tips that he has. Not only will it help you grow your business, not only will it help you be a better leader, but he is going to really define what made him so successful and how he has a part in the success of others. You don't want to miss a second of this. Let's get at it. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of the Leading from the Middle podcast. And this is a podcast for middle managers who want to develop themselves, develop their teams, and improve their results. And I have got somebody that's going to help you with all of that today, but also leave you so inspired. So I'm going to get right to him. Sales expert, multi-location gym owner, and former pro wrestler Dustin Bogle has joined me today. I'm so excited to talk to him. Dustin, great to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you for the ego boost, Kenny. It's a great way to go into my day. But yeah, I'm doing fantastic, and I love talking shop about leadership. So I am at home with my people right now.
Oh, that is fantastic. So let's jump in. I just want to give you plenty of time and space because some of the things I've read, your backstory is just fantastic. It's amazing. It's inspiring. And I want you to go back as far as you want to go, but tell us a little bit about your backstory and what's led you to this point where you're doing all these remarkable things with not only helping leaders, but entrepreneurs and all the things you're doing. What led you to that? What's your backstory?
Yeah, I mean, great, kind of inside look here at a leadership tagline that I really believe in. I guess you could even call it like a core value. And that is, first, you got to lead yourself, then you can lead others, and you should lead always. Yes. And so that's essentially, to me, a little kind of like overview of my history. So most people want to know, like, how did I get into fitness, and then how did I get into business? And so those are kind of two I'll brush over. So back in high school, most of the time, that's people's glory days. They're in their best shape. They're feeling amazing. That was not the case for me. I was an overweight teenager. I was 260 pounds. I'm a taller guy. I'm 6'2", so I wear it pretty well, but I was definitely unhealthy. And it was because I was a gamer and like a glued to the TV, sitter. And so when we were at school, I was sitting, then I'd go home and I would just sit, and I'm eating fast food, I'm eating junk food, and I'm just packing on the pounds. And so in high school, I'm 260 pounds. I have no confidence. I'm kind of hiding away from all the other students during lunch. I don't have a lot of friends. And so one guy actually extended, an invitation. And so he was a friend that sat next to me in class. He said, "Hey, man," and he was pretty, fit. And he's like, "Hey, man, I'm going to go to the gym today after school. Do you want to join me?" And because it was like no pressure, just kind of sounded like a hangout, I said, yes. I also have a lot of friends. So I thought it's a great opportunity to make a friend. And so we do a standard meathead workout, which for all my gym junkies, that's chest and biceps for guys, right? We got to go in there, we got to bench press and curl, and that's the meathead workout. And I got this amazing pump. And I said, oh my God, what have I been missing out on? The endorphins are rushing. I'm feeling like I'm on cloud 9. I'm going to attack this with full effort. And so for 6 months, I went with him to the gym every single day. And in 6 months, I lost 60 pounds of body fat.
Wow.
So I got down to 200 pounds. I had visible abs. I was, really looking muscular. And I was like, holy cow, now that I've transformed myself, back to that lead yourself, I want to give this gift to other people. And so I'm going to become a certified trainer, and I'm going to help other people to transform their health and their fitness, because it is the best confidence booster you can get. Yeah. It changes how you stand. It changes how you talk. It changes how you walk into a room. And it all comes down to your body language. Well, your body language is a reflection of how you feel in your body. Mm-hmm. If you don't feel good in your body, you start slouching and you start like kind of closing up from the world. You ever see fit people? They usually have really good posture. They're standing proud. They're walking in like they own the place. It's not because they're cocky. It's because they're working out. And a lot of workouts challenge your posture and your back muscles. Mm-hmm. So this is, that entry point that kind of got me hooked into fitness. And so that's, that entry point there. I'll jump into the business next, but I don't know if you had any questions you wanted to pry on there, Kenny, first.
Yeah. So what other lessons did you take from that? Because it sounded like, I mean, I don't think anybody would have ever guessed that in high school you were kind of the shy guy who, didn't have many friends. What was there one moment aside from that first gym moment that really got you going, this was a light bulb lesson for you? And the other question I want to ask you is, who else inspired you during that time?
Yeah, so I definitely grew up in the era of all these super jacked up action heroes and pro wrestlers. Again, kind of going into that world. I would watch Arnold Schwarzenegger movies and Sly Stallone and, all these really ripped dudes in the movies. And then on Monday Night Raw, I'm watching Stone Cold Steve Austin and, The Undertaker and all these, very fit, The Rock. And so I was like, oh my God, like I want a body like that. So like they inspired me to go to the gym and to commit myself. I just didn't know how to do it, and so that's something that like I bridge for people now. Is so many people are afraid of the gym because they just don't even know what they're gonna do. They feel like they're gonna walk in and everybody's experience and they're gonna all laugh at them, and so that fear is the big thing that holds people from even walking into a gym. And I know because I felt the same way. I wanted the body, I wanted to be fit and ripped, but that like I don't know what I don't know kept me from going and getting started. And so just that person inviting me. And so that's why I get so excited about like selling fitness and getting on the phone and getting someone to get over their fears, because it's usually fear holding them back. And so I say the acronym of fear is false events appearing real.
Yes.
And so, if you're like, hey, they're going to laugh at me. No, they won't. Fitness people are the most positive and welcome and warm people you'll ever meet. They're not going to laugh at you. I won't know, what to do. Nobody does. No one walks in and has perfect form on day one. And that goes with any skill in life. Your first sales calls are not going to be good. The first time you lead people is not going to be good. You're going to make mistakes, but that's how you make your way to success. The failure is not the opposite of success. It's the path to success.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty much, the big aha moments I had in the gym.
I love that. I love that. That's fantastic. Please go on with the story.
Yes. So then what's funny that we make a hard left here. That same gentleman that invited me to the gym then invited me to go to his house. And he said, hey, man, I have a pro wrestling ring in my backyard. I said, what? Like, who do you know has this? So I go, and lo and behold, there is a legitimate 16-foot by 16-foot ring built in his backyard, cemented into the ground. His dad was a contractor, and his boys loved wrestling. They were obsessed with it. They said, I'm going to be a pro wrestler when I grow up. And so those kids like got me there, and I sat and watched the show. And immediately when the show was over, I said, how do I get trained? I want to be in the show. I don't want to be in the audience. How do I get in the show? And so that began the journey of getting trained, which they kind of did the best they could. They were really what they called back then backyarders. They were not professionally trained. They're just kids that mocked what they saw on TV, and then eventually going to official training school, and then officially eventually touring the world and doing tours in Mexico and Canada and stuff like that. But essentially that was another entry point that then also turned my fitness and allowed me to channel it into something, into a performance. And then I was even more excited to go to the gym. A lot of people, when they go to the gym, they start feeling bored. Why am I here training? Sign up for a mud run, sign up for a photo shoot, get excited about a vacation that's coming up. But there's got to be a training goal. Usually the thing that's lacking in when someone's not motivated is they have no future date that they're looking forward to, that they want to get fit for. And it's okay to be vain, like that's all right. But sometimes people want to get off medication. Sometimes they want to improve their love life. Sometimes they want better posture and less pain. But pick something, and that's going to keep you motivated. So that was how I got into, pro wrestling, was being invited to his backyard.
Wow. So now we have these two things, and you're just this awesome leader, because I'm sensing that leadership is all part of this as well. And so is entrepreneurship. And so talk to us a little bit about 6 gyms in 6 years and how that now started to play in and developing your growth.
Yeah. So pro wrestling is entertainment industry. And so all the starving artists know this. When you're a band and you're playing at a coffee shop, you're not getting paid a lot. And, you're trying to get your name out there. So it's the same in wrestling. You could get paid $20 a show, and that's not even going to cover your gas and your food. Sometimes I got paid in hot dogs and nachos. They didn't tell me that till after I wrestled. And so, I was in LA, so I'm doing lucha libre shows, and I'm doing lots of shows that, I just want to get my skills up. And so eventually I said, obviously can't make a living doing this. And I'm doing construction, and that's breaking my back, and I don't love it so much. So I said, I'm going to really go in on fitness and make it my career. And that's my Monday to Friday. And on the weekends, I'll be a weekend warrior and I'll go do pro wrestling. So I start doing that. I get jobs at various places. I go to Gold's Gym. I'm opening it up at 3 a.m., opening the gym. I start training people in my garage and doing personal training there. And then finally, I get enough clients in my books that I'm like, I can open a gym. I can do this. This is like, I don't feel like it's a risk because I'm up to 40, 50 clients. They will cover the bills, but at least I'll feel more professional. I kind of felt like, I was scrambling to have people, and it was kind of all under the table, and I'm training people in my garage. So when it's hot summer, we're cooking, and when it's winter, we're freezing. I was like, we got to get a real space here. We got to go pro. So eventually I opened my first location, and that's where I was able to really kind of like be me and take the lessons I learned from pro wrestling and make my experience at my gym different. If anybody goes back and talks to, my first customers at my first gym, they'll tell you these things. But that caught on like wildfire and enabled me to open a gym a year because we had this really unique fitness product. And so one of the big things that made us unique is, number one, in wrestling, we know that the wrestler's going to come out and they're going to hit their entrance music, And so for Stone Cold Steve Austin, the glass breaks, he comes out, he's flipping middle fingers, he's drinking beer, but everybody cheers when they hear that music. So I just said to myself, I'm going to do it during my sessions. Right when it's 9 a.m., if it's a 9 a.m. session, I'm going to crank the music and I'm going to get everybody's attention. I'm going to shock their senses. All right, everybody, here we go. 9 a.m. It's time to do this. And I really got everybody's attention. I took their mind off their bills, their to-do list, what they got going on at home, and I got them in the zone. And so one of the lessons I learned in wrestling is they always remember the beginning and they remember the end. Yeah. And so most people forget the middle, right? And so usually when we're critiquing a movie, we're like, oh, I didn't really care for the ending, or like, oh, I didn't see that coming. You don't talk about what happened at the hour mark. It's what happened at the 90-minute or the 2-hour mark. So that was me making that beginning memorable. Then at the end, again, wrestling's big on storytelling. I always told a story because most trainers focus on the workouts, they focus on the nutrition, but they don't teach through stories. And it's one of the most powerful ways to teach people things. If I just tell you something to do, or I give you stats or data, it doesn't really move you emotionally. But when we are told a story, then it really, like, why do people break down in tears watching a movie, or when they hear a song? Like there's a story the person's telling that moves you. And so I started collecting stories. If I was reading it in a book, which you see, I got a nice collection going. If I read a story in a book, if there was a story from my life, kind of like what I'm teaching here that I can teach to them, a client story, I just started a note with hundreds of stories, and I would just pick one out every day and teach it to them and leave them on a high. And that was different than just what most trainers end it with, which is just a stretch. Like, we're just sitting here doing this.
Yes.
And it's like, see you tomorrow. So yeah.
That is, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. I mean, the storytelling aspect is just, it makes so much sense. And that is so awesome and unique of you to do that. And so now you're growing. This is an amazing story, by the way. So you're growing, and now how does the leadership aspect come in here? Because now at some point you really just want to help others. In addition to, doing all the great things that you're doing, you want to flip that and now help others. So how does it now become this whole leadership thing with you?
So here's where the carpet gets swept from underneath me, because everything sounds all good and dandy. Life is good for Dustin. So what I love about our topic here, leadership, what I did not know, I was very new to business. I was, just didn't know what I didn't know. I did not know at these gyms I'd have to scale leadership and culture. And I thought it was equipment. I just got to buy dumbbells and bands and barbells, and then I just hire coaches, and then they got it. And then I'll go to the next town and I'll open another, and I'll go to the next town. So at this point, I'm going so quick, I don't feel what's happening at the locations until it catches up with me. And so what happened is I did not scale leadership. I didn't scale culture. I just gave the task side of things, which is, this is how we run a session. This is how we open the gym, go. But what was the magic at number one was the shock your senses at the beginning. It was the storytelling. None of that was being transferred over because they were not in location one. And that's why they couldn't feel it. They couldn't see it. We're very monkey see, monkey do as people. Mm-hmm. So if you put me in that gym and let me hang out there for 30, 60, 90 days, that's what a lot of the best companies do. They put you side by side with a superstar. They put you at one of their best locations because they want to duplicate it into you when you go to open your new location. I didn't know this about multi-location, brick and mortar business. And so I suffered, greatly in business because of this mistake. And so, just so the audience knows, yes, 6 gyms in 6 years. One gym we actually had to close down, and then 2 others we had to sell because of lack of performance. And it was because I didn't scale leaders. And so, that's me taking responsibility. That's my fault. When I look back at why, there was no leader in place. Dustin needed to be at all of them. And so I'm going to be very diluted, spread across 6 gyms versus when I'm in one. I made that $1 million facility, but I was there every day. I was holding the standards. I was doing these things that I didn't even know I need to document and teach to other people. I was just being me. And until I learned, oh, this is a way of doing things, I need to teach this. That's where I, had my big learning lesson when it comes to leadership. So painful, but the God's honest truth, Kenny.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And so what were some of the things that you saw that was lacking aside from the visualization? I think that's so important. What changed in you? What helped you then grow as a leader to lead other leaders?
Yeah, so I think that's why I had to really take ownership and begin to lead myself, because I knew I couldn't tell people how to be a leader until I developed my leadership skills. And so one of them was I was awful at communication. I assumed people knew what to do. And they say if you break down the word assume, it breaks down to ass you, me, because you make an ass out of you and me. And so never assume. And so I assumed, oh, I taught them once, they know how to run a session. I taught them once, they know how to sell a program. But you can't. You need to keep training going. And people need refreshers. They need reminders. They need retrainings. There's just usually when you're onboarding, there's so much information, the person can't retain it all, and you can't be mad at them. Again, I come from fitness. Coaches would probably understand. You can't teach them everything you know about nutrition on day one. This is a protein. This is a macro. Here's how the hormones work. You would fry their brain out. But then as leaders in business, we tend to do that with our team members. We shoot a fire hydrant of information, say, welcome aboard, get to work, start, producing. And so that was something I had to do, is learn how to communicate and learn how to really work with different personality types. I'm of the belief, Kenny, all problems in business, the root cause of it is communication. Somebody didn't communicate it clearly. They didn't give a clear deadline. They didn't explain it with enough detail. Something was missed on the communication. Somebody just didn't communicate at all, and that goes back to that assume. There's so many situations that you can see probably in your business or in any company that communication is the root of all problems in business. So it's why people get a divorce. It's why countries go to war. And it's one of the things that you definitely got to be aware of and look at your communication. First, again, I'm a big fan of, I like that this is lead from the middle. Our company core values lead from the front. And so I say, you can't hold your team accountable to strong communication until you do it first. That's leading from the front. So it's very easy to say, do as I say, not as I do. But we don't believe that in our company. Do it well and then say, copy me, because this is how you do it. Right. Yeah. So that's a good leadership lesson I learned as well.
Wow. Wow. And I love what you're saying, because it applies to every industry, any industry where you're saying it so applies right to it. So now 2023, the changing landscape of work, in your opinion, what does the great leader really look and feel like? What are 2 or 3 skills? You named one, communication. You're 100% dead on there. What's a couple of other must-have skills for the leader in 2023 and beyond?
Love it. I would say another one is knowing the difference between leading and doing. And so the example I'll give, I actually learned from another mentor of mine in the leadership space. That's Jocko Willink. I'm sure most people have heard of his book, Extreme Ownership. Yes. What he talks about is a battlefield situation. So if there is a squad leader and they're under attack from the enemy and his whole squad is shooting back at this enemy, should this squad leader join in and look at his scope and start shooting at the enemy too? And most people are saying yes, and he's saying no, because guess what? When he looks in that scope, his vision is impaired. He can only see what his scope allows him, and it's narrowing him down, giving him tunnel vision. And he's now doing with his team. He's doing the tasks. He's sending the emails. He's making the calls. He's doing customer service. That is not an effective leader. And
Mhm.
so it's not that you're above them and that you're not afraid to jump in the trenches. You absolutely should. You should know what's going on in your business and kind of get involved. But is that like your weekly routine? No. And the difference is a leader, what he would recommend the squad leader do to lead his squad is to look, where can I outflank them? Where can we get a higher position? How can we cover and move so we can inch our way closer? Because in most battle fights, the reason you're not hitting the target is you're too far away. So you get closer and then now you start hitting more targets. So that's the example in the battlefield of what should the leader be doing. He shouldn't be shooting. He should be looking for strategic advantages so that the enemy can be destroyed and they can win. Well, in business, what are the strategies you're spending time on? That's leading, is coming to the team and saying, here's the vision of what we're going to do in the marketing department. Here's the vision of how we're going to improve sales. The big thinking is where they need the leader to come in and to see what are the big problems, removing constraints, having big vision, making those big relationships, that next big partnership that's going to really boost sales. That is what a business leader really needs to be doing. So again, I was very much the solopreneur. I did everything in my first gym, but where things really get exciting is when you assemble a team and you start teaching yourself to stop doing and to start leading them. That is when business gets really interesting and a whole lot more profitable.
And I mean, that is just some dead on amazing advice for leaders today. And especially in a lot of the industries that I support, man, I just see it every day, them trying to do everything themselves. And I see the lack of communication. So that is some great advice. I really want to give you a couple of minutes to talk about because I loved it, the Lunch with a Punch podcast,
Yes.
because lunch is an acronym that stands for a few things. Please tell the audience how you came up with that acronym and what they all stand for.
Yeah. So this was it's funny. It started as a midday series I used to do for my clients because I have morning sessions and evening sessions. The day is kind of downtime during a gym. So that was when I would make content and I would do other, business related tasks. So I just said, hey guys, every day at noon, I'm gonna jump on and I'm gonna do a live and I'm gonna do a teaching topic. So if the topic resonates with somebody tag them. And so it was a great marketing thing because I was giving out free value. I was like, hey guys, today I'm going to teach you how to read a label, or today I'm going to show you how to do the squat. So I was just giving free content, and it started to become known, this midday show called Lunch with a Punch. But as you see, I can be creative and have fun names with things. I decided when I got into more like helping fellow people as entrepreneurs and business owners, I want to take that same name. Number one, it's hard to come up with something that's not taken already, and so
Yeah.
nobody had that trademark, so I decided to run with it. But also it's just silly, and I always like acronyms. So the acronyms of lunch is number one, leadership. So we're here talking about it. Number two is understanding success. So like what makes people successful? What are their habits? What are their mindsets? What are their beliefs? Right. The N is noteworthy guests. So, I've had people that are industry leaders in fitness, Jordan Side, if, anybody's in the fitness industry, Todd Durkin, Jason Phillips, a few others. And so these are noteworthy guests that I want to have on the show. And then the H, oh, sorry, I'm jumping across C. The H I know is having fun. The
Yeah.
C, I'm having a brain fart. Oh my God, I feel totally embarrassed.
Caring for yourself.
Yes.
Caring for yourself.
Oh, caring for yourself. Thank you.
Yeah.
I was like, what is it? Caring for yourself. So fitness, health, and then H is having fun. Like too many people take business serious. And so that's kind of the whole acronym, behind Lunch with a Punch.
Oh man, that is awesome. And you know what I really love? You can talk leadership with the best of them, and you can talk fitness with the best of them, and you're just combining the both, and you're getting these great guests, on your podcast to talk about fitness. And the conversations are so interesting because they go a lot deeper, especially with the acronym that you have, how you understand what does success actually look like, after you've gone to the gym for a month or have success there. You are so inspiring, man. I can't tell you how much I
Thank you.
appreciate this conversation, and it is just some really dead on, straight to the point advice on leadership. And so I want to this will probably be my last question. How can people? I'll make sure I post it all over the place. But how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah. So thank you. Definitely appreciate the listeners' time, your time. Hopefully you got a good ROI on your time invested in hearing this.
Oh, no doubt,
If
no
you want to
doubt.
hear more tips, I actually just released a book that dropped last week called Reinforce Your Gym. But I warn everybody, although it says it's for gym owners, there's a lot of practical tips in sales, marketing, and leadership that can apply to any business. You just got to go and look at it with an open mind and extract them out. So that was really cool to get my first book out on Amazon.
Fantastic. Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then Facebook and Instagram, I'm very active on there. Just a heads up, I'm kind of having fun right now. I'm creating this character called the Author, and so he's a pro wrestling guy, and he makes fun of all the people who bought his book. So like, don't get offended. That's just me having fun, because I'm definitely like more the nice guy, positive. So I was like, I'm gonna bring back my old wrestling character and kind of be a jerk and have some fun being the bad guy. So that's something I'm doing on there. And then last but not least, there is anybody in the fitness space, we did just launch also a mentorship. So you can go to yourfitnessempire.com, and it's $10 a day. And me and my business partner, Matt Wilbur, will literally teach you step by step how we build our businesses to be 7 figures and beyond.
Wow.
So those are some ways that you could continue to work with me. Yes.
Awesome. Fantastic. You heard it. I'll make sure that that those links are out there, especially on the book. I didn't know about that. Thanks for letting me know about that. This was amazing. You're inspiring me here. I'll just say this real quick. I spent, my wife and I did CrossFit for about 3 years, and oh my gosh, it was like an hour of torture. But I was in the best shape of my life. I mean, I didn't get muscular or ripped, but I just felt great every day. And our schedules changed. So, we were there at 5 a.m. every morning. So we got to go back to doing it. I mean, I still do a lot of, like, I walk 2 miles a day. I try to, or at least every other day. And so, but you've really inspired me to kind of revisit, the taking care of yourself, the self-care that you talk about. And so, yeah, so you've not only, I know you're going to inspire a lot of people with leadership, but you've inspired me to take a different look. Yeah, absolutely. This has been amazing, man. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me.
All right, man. Thanks to the audience, and thanks for the time.
Absolutely. Well, folks, this has been Kenny and Dustin. This has been the Leading from the Middle podcast. We'll talk to you real soon.